The Jeffrey Epstein case continues to be in the news because it is the biggest pedophile ring sex trafficking operation in U.S. history. And Donald Trump and Moses Mike Johnson and Pam Bondi, Cash Patel, they are covering it up. And something that is happening right now is the United States Supreme Court is considering whether to grant a writ of certiorari to Ghislaine Maxwell for her appeal based on the immunity agreement that Jeffrey Epstein filed and pled to when he pled to the bullshit deal with Alex Acosta in Florida in 2008. She was not listed specifically as immune in that agreement. However, she is now saying she should have been covered by that agreement. Now, normally, the U.S. Supreme Court, in normal times when they weren't shills for Trump, I would immediately say they would deny this appeal. But interestingly enough, they are meeting behind closed doors to discuss this appeal, which is fishy considering we know the sweetheart deal Donald Trump's administration gave Ghislaine Maxwell when they sent her to Club Fed, basically, to spend the rest of the 20 years that she was convicted of doing. And so one thing that we did find out over the weekend, not because the Justice Department released the files in accordance with the congressional subpoena, which they have not. They have continued to lie and obfuscate about these documents. But Jeffrey Epstein's brother, who is in charge of his estate, did release another batch of documents, and we were able to see those via the oversight Democrats. And what we see is a new document reveals from Epstein estate detailing his daily schedule. They show meetings with Steve Bannon, Peter Thiel, and a potential visit to Epstein Island for Elon Musk. Prince Andrew is listed as a passenger on Epstein's jet. So just a couple things about that. We have on May 27th, 2017, we see that Peter Thiel was having lunch with him. We also know that Jeffrey Epstein was a big investor of Peter Thiel. That surprises me zero because these men think that sick people, poor people should have less, and they dehumanize them, as you can see by Jeffrey Epstein's actions. And then Peter Thiel, who has all of our data, has made it very clear in videos that he believes the elite intellects should control the lower, not as smart, poor people because they can't govern themselves and need to leave it with the smart people. And then, as a shock to no one, Steve Bannon is also on this list. They had breakfast. This really didn't surprise me that much. I mean, an old fart that, thinks he has power, political player. But interestingly enough, we have a reminder that says, Elon Musk to Island, December 6th. Now, I grant you, it doesn't say Elon Musk was on Epstein Island. But what's interesting about that is the denial set forth by Elon Musk after this was reported. So Sky News and the BBC report Elon Musk and Prince Andrew named in latest Epstein files release. Okay, so Elon Musk responds, shame on Sky News for this utterly misleading headline. Anyone pushing this false narrative deserves complete contempt. Epstein tried to get me to go to his island, and I, all caps, refused. Yet they named me even before Prince Andrew, who did this. So what I thought was interesting about this is you have a guy that goes on and says, I didn't go to Epstein's Island. I refused. And I'm like, so clearly you were aware of what was going on in real time at Jeffrey Epstein's Island, because you just said in all caps, I refused to go. So I think that's interesting because it's like, Elon Musk, did you contact the Justice Department? Did you contact the FBI? Did you do anything to make the girls that were being trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, anything to make them more safe? And of course, the answer is no, because again, all these super rich oligarchs think that poor people are less than, and it's easy to demean them and let them be sex trafficked. I mean, that's my opinion. We'll see if it comes out more. But I also thought the hubris of Elon Musk, if you might remember this summer he posted, Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. Motherfucker, you're in the Epstein files. And I would say nobody that knew his name was in the Epstein files would talk about who else was in the Epstein files or releasing the Epstein files. And then I realized, oh no, that's right. Donald Trump made campaign promises for years about releasing the Epstein files when he knew damn good and well he was ass deep in those files, best friends. I mean, it's unbelievable that these men do not think that they should ever be accountable to anything. And then we have Mike Johnson. Again, Mike Johnson should swear in the new congressperson from Arizona. She was elected. She would be the 218th vote to release the Epstein files. Thomas Massie, who says, and he sends this to Mike Johnson, which I love. If Mike Johnson tries to use some parliamentarian procedure to stall the Epstein petition, Massie said it would require 218 votes. And this is what Massie says to Mike Johnson. And if you participate in that vote to sideline the discharge petition, now you're part of the cover-up. And I don't think anybody is more devoted to the cover-up than Mike Johnson, who shut down Congress early for the summer session so he did not have to hear about the Epstein files, that the oversight committee could not get that information. Votes could not be taken about that because he knows not only is it Trump, but it's other donors in the Republican Party. And this whole time they were making like it was a big Democrat thing. Well, all the Democrats have signed. Where are the Republicans? So something stinks to high heaven in that deal. And then we have Robert Garcia, who's been such a champion in this case, trying to reach transparency and justice for these women. But he had some things to say about the financial records, which I'm super interested to find out who was paying Jeffrey Epstein. How was money changing hands? So let's listen to Robert Garcia.
Revelation, I think, is interesting information and builds the broader case. We have essentially right now the single largest sex trafficking ring of the modern era that Jeffrey Epstein led with Ghislaine Maxwell. We also know, and I've said many times, why the president of the United States would be best friends, according to Epstein, for 10 to 15 years, knowing the horrors and the crimes that he was committing is an important question that we need answered. And the powerful men that raped and abused women and girls, and in many cases, children, those women, those girls deserve justice. And so that's why we are out there putting the information out, in my opinion, pushing Comer and the oversight Republicans and forcing them to get these subpoenas out there. At the center of all this is going to be the financial documents. And so right now we are working to get all of the bank records, the financial documents, where the money went. That information is critical to our investigation. But putting out these documents is important to the public.
So there you have it. I hope at some point he gets this information and releases this information, because it has been reported in the press that there are hundreds of transactions, financial transactions between Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. And I'm sure a slew of other people, all of whom should be exposed for committing crimes against children, and just the utter dehumanization of these girls that were victims when they were younger, and now doing it all over again because Trump's calling it a hoax after he stirred up the bullshit about it for years. So as soon as we hear from the Supreme Court, we will be back, get you updated on that. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and we will be back with more news.